What's going on, guys? We're back. We're going to do something a little bit different. I want to just do a couple, maybe we're going to spend like a week and I'm going to do smaller videos, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, a little bit smaller, maybe talk about it a little bit more. And then I want to see how that kind of content goes along with, in addition to some of our longer form content as well. So we've got, this says the fourth anniversary of the International Legion. The International Legion was established when during the full-scale invasion, pretty much right when Russia invaded, which was February 24th, 2022. Excuse me. And they've been active ever since in different capacities. So this is gonna be really cool. I did serve in the International Legion, so this will be this one's close to my heart here. Do me a favor, please check out their YouTube channel. This is the DIU, International Legion DIU. You see it right down there. Check out their YouTube channel, you guys. The Legion's different than how it used to be. It is, I can say, with a clear conscience, it is much better than how it was when I was in it. When I first came to Ukraine, January of 2023. Okay, so check them out. Also, please like, share, subscribe to my channel. We are trying to hit that 50,000 sub mark, so that would be incredible. Thank you, guys. And we've got all of our merch, hats, hoodies, tees, link below in our Discord where we keep all our uncensored footage. And also, I recommend different units for foreigners to join down there. Okay, sorry. Let's jump into this. Okay, let me minimize myself. Bow, bow, bow.
2022, the Russian Federation launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This day became a turning point in the modern history of our country. Ukraine didn't fall, it endured. Standing alongside it were those who had no direct obligation to do so, but felt that they were needed here. In response to the treacherous attack by the aggressor, President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, called on foreigners who share the values of freedom to join Ukraine's security and defense forces. Within just a few days, the first volunteers arrived in Kiev. This is how the history of the International Legion of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine began, a unit that became a symbol of global solidarity. On March 7, 2022, at the initiative of the head of Defense Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, then Brigadier General Kirilo Budanov, the International Legion of DIU was officially established as a combat unit. Ultimately, the DIU Legion included representatives from more than 55 countries. Among them, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, the Scandinavian states, the United States of America, Japan, South Korea, Latin American countries, Belarus, Georgia, and others. Among the fighters were veterans of elite special forces, instructors, medics, sappers, and snipers. These individuals had experience in Iraq, Afghanistan, Mali, and Kosovo. Now they defend our country shoulder to shoulder with Ukrainians as part of the International Legion of DIU. The combat path of the unit from 2022 to today spans the hottest directions of the front.
Something that we noticed. Like I said, I came in January of 2023, so I missed all of the initial invasion stuff from 2022 until 2023. Something we did notice, though, if you kind of go back and look into the history, which I hope this is going to be really well documented, the bravery of these soldiers, but some of the most elite foreign fighters, the ex-SEALs, the ex-MARSOC, the ex-Rangers, came right in those first couple of months of the invasion, and unfortunately, a lot of them didn't make it because things were just absolutely insane, from what I understand, as far as the combat situation. So there was a loss of some incredible experienced soldiers at the very beginning of the full scale.
One of the first and most important chapters in the combat history of the International Legion is the participation in the defense of the Kiev region. At the moment when Russian forces attempt to encircle the capital, the legionnaires were deployed to critical directions: Irpin, Bucha, Moshchun. The unit operated as part of mobile groups that sealed breakthroughs, destroyed enemy logistics, conducted reconnaissance, and enabled counteroffensive actions. The success of these operations became one of the turning points in the first phase of the full-scale war. Kharkiv region. Participation in the liberation of the region in 2022, and later holding back the enemy's attack in 2024 in the Liptsi-Vovchansk direction. The Zaporizhia direction. Participation in the counteroffensive operations near Robotine, and later the defense of the village Mali Sherbaki and nearby settlements. The Kherson direction. Difficult terrain, wide water obstacles, and dense enemy fire control. It was here that the International Legion carried out one of its most decisive special operations. In September 2022, in preparation for the liberation of the Kherson region, a combat group of the DIU Legion conducted a waterborne operation. A group of fighters, deployed using fins, cleared the shore and secured access for the main forces. Enemy positions in the village were seized. Part of the occupiers was eliminated, the rest were taken as prisoners of war. Russian reserves were disoriented. As a result, not a single uncoverable loss on the Legion's side, maximum effect. The operation became not only a military success, it opened the way for...
I never even heard of this. That's incredible, man. Look at that Barrett with the suppressor on it. That is absurd.
For further advances by Ukraine's defense forces and became a symbol of the innovative approach, professional training and decisiveness of the International Legion of the EU. It became a breakpoint in the enemy's plans on the right bank of the Kherson region. Bakhmut. Participation in extremely difficult urban combat. Despite logistical challenges, the unit operated effectively in this sector of the front. Operations in Severodonetsk, Lysychansk, Chasiv Yar, Toretsk and the Sumy region. Operations abroad have never been confirmed nor denied. In several areas, an information blackout remains in effect. The winter of 2023 marked the transformation of the Legion. Instead of small groups, battalion-level combat units were created. Each unit consists of command, assault groups, artillery, drones and logistics. This structure enabled the autonomous execution of more complex missions. The DIU Legion actively works on training its personnel. From the very beginning, strict selection, then basic military training, next specialized training. Work with FPV drones, EW and SIGINT systems, night operations, small unit tactics, enhanced marksmanship training, medical evacuation and aid according to NATO standards adapted to Ukrainian realities. Training takes place on the territory of Ukraine. Commanders determine training priorities for their fighters, adapting them to the evolving battlefield.
Excuse me.
The International Legion stands out for its technological density. Its arsenal includes kamikaze drones, modern Western weaponry, night operation equipment, unmanned ground vehicles, and other assets. The Legion has established its own production of unmanned ground vehicles and FPV drones. A part of International Legion is also the Kostuys-Kalinovsky Regiment. This combat unit formed on March 9, 2022, consists primarily of Belarusian citizens. Fighters of the regiment participate in assault and defensive operations and are actively engaged on the front line. It is a disciplined, cohesive formation that unites Belarusians around the idea of freedom, not only for Ukraine, but also for the future of their own country. Service members of the DIU Legion who have distinguished themselves in battle receive state and departmental awards of Ukraine. These include medals from the Defense Intelligence and the President of Ukraine. In addition, a simplified procedure for obtaining Ukrainian citizenship has been introduced for foreigners serving in the defense forces. Public communication is carried out through official pages on X, Telegram, YouTube, and Instagram. Recruitment is conducted through verified channels. Each recruit undergoes check of combat experience, motivation, and psychological readiness. The International Legion deeply honors the memory of its comrades who gave their lives for Ukraine's freedom. Among them are professionals from different countries who remained on the front line in the most difficult moments. Their sacrifice is an example of courage and heroism that will forever remain in the history of our state. Since the formation of the unit, a large number of Ukrainian military personnel and volunteers have also joined its ranks: officers, sergeants, and privates. The International Legion is not just a combat unit. It's an alliance of honor, it's a global response to evil. It's proof that freedom has no borders. When citizens of different countries, nationalities, and faiths unite for the defense of humanity, the world becomes a better place. The International Legion of the Main Directorate of Defense Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. From gratitude to greatness.
That was sweet, dude. That was very good. A couple things I want to do mention about this, then we'll wrap it up. So this is a perfect place to stop it too, because it says International Legion of Ukraine, but it's got the DIU, Defense Intelligence of Ukraine logo with the owl and the dagger and the skull. This is different than the initial International Legion, the larger outfit, as far as there were 6 battalions. The first like 3 or 4 were direct action, and then there was a training or a couple training battalions, something like that. But really, it was the 1st battalion, 2nd battalion, and 3rd battalion were infantry units, and it was grunt work. It was, you would be attached to another Ukrainian unit, whether it was just an infantry unit or a mechanized infantry unit, and you would go hold lines, hold trenches, dig holes, dig new forward positions, stuff like that. So that's what I was in. It was different than this. This is definitely what I was in is no longer a thing. It has been disbanded. It was disbanded in late 2025, and the members, the residing members of it were split into the Legion DIU. The Legion DIU is a much more excuse me, at this point it's a much more organized outfit. It's a combination of smaller teams, like it said, that operate within larger battalion and brigade units. So, for example, you'll have a unit like Omega, for example, and it's a bunch of foreigners that operate somewhat independently, but they can call on the resources and assets of the larger military battalion. So they'll get a tasking. For example, let's say it's let's just call it something random out there, like the 60th separate assault brigade. Okay, and it's all Ukrainians, but attached to them is Omega, for example. This isn't accurate. I'm just using an example. And so the 60th separate mechanized commanders will give Omega a tasking, say, hey, you need to go take this position or hold this or do this, do this. And then it's up to Omega to come up with a mission plan, put it together, present it back to the command of the 60th separate assault brigade, and then they'll say, okay, go for it. And then Omega operates and carries out that mission. So during that mission planning from Omega, they can call for things like, while they're making the mission planning, they'll say, okay, we're going to need FPV support at this place at this time. We're going to need counter battery most likely around this time of day, stuff like that. And then when they present it, the Ukrainian command will be like, okay, cool, we got you, or we can do this, we can't do this because it's busy, stuff like that. But cool shit, man. That was very cool video. Major respect to all the foreigners who have come to Ukraine and paid the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. In my opinion, it is the most American thing possible that an American can do, is fight for freedom. And right now, the biggest showcase of fighting for freedom that we can see in a global stage is Ukraine defending itself from the Russian Federation. So massive respect to all the foreigners. Let's leave it at that. I love you guys. We'll see you in the next video.